Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into the absolutely incredible 40-year story of the Brazilian metal titans, Sepultura.
For 4 decades, this band has just been a relentless force in heavy music. We're talking nearly 20 million albums sold worldwide and a massive footprint on the entire genre.
But you know, their story is so much more than just sales numbers. It's really a saga of brotherhood, of tragedy and reinvention. It's honestly as heavy and complex as their music.
Okay, so let's get right into it, starting at their kind of humble and, well, tragic beginnings back in Belo Horizonte, Brazil.
The band was really born from tragedy. You've got these teenage brothers, Max and Igor Cavalera, and they're just reeling after the sudden death of their father, who was a diplomat. It left their family in financial ruin. And in all that darkness, music became their only escape, and it became their mission.
So they're inspired by bands like Motorhead and Venom, and they find their name when Max literally translates the lyrics of the Motorhead song Dancing on Your Grave. He chose the Portuguese word for grave, Sepultura, which, that sets a dark and heavy tone from day one, right?
And that dark and heavy tone, well, it would soon resonate way beyond Brazil, as the band just exploded onto the world stage. This was their golden age, a time of, really, global domination.
The band's rise was just meteoric. After forming in '84, they get signed to Roadrunner Records, and their 1989 album Beneath the Remains, that's their big international breakthrough. Just 2 years later, Arise is cracking the US charts, and they're playing to these massive crowds. By '93, with Chaos AD, they weren't just playing thrash metal anymore. They were rewriting the rules, slowing things down, and injecting this heavy, infectious rhythm that we would all come to know as groove metal.
So by the mid-90s, they had become one of the most successful heavy metal bands in the world, selling millions of albums, earning gold and platinum records all over the globe. They were on top of the world.
But, as these stories so often go, their greatest success would lead directly to their biggest crisis. The seeds of destruction were being sown right at the absolute peak of their power. This right here, this was the crucial turning point in their story, where triumph and tragedy just collided in the most brutal way you can imagine. Their 1996 album Roots was an absolute masterpiece. At a time when metal was often looking inward, Sepultura looked outward, to their own Brazilian heritage. They blended these heavy grooves with the traditional music of the indigenous Xavante tribe, and they created something that was raw, authentic, and totally unheard of. It basically became a blueprint for the whole nu metal sound that would dominate the charts later on.
But at the absolute height of this incredible success, a horrific tragedy struck. Max's stepson, Dana Wells, was killed in a car accident. And then, just a few months later, while the family was deep in their grief, the rest of the band gave Max an unimaginable ultimatum: fire their manager, who happened to be his wife, and Dana's mother. It was the breaking point.
Feeling completely betrayed, Max quit the band he had started in his bedroom as a teenager. His departure was a devastating blow, and you can just feel the pain of that split in this quote. It was truly the end of an era.
So the question on everyone's mind was, could Sepultura even continue? How do you go on without your iconic frontman and your primary songwriter?
Well, in 1997, the band answered with a definitive yes. They recruited the powerhouse American vocalist Derek Green to take over what was probably one of the most difficult jobs in all of heavy metal.
And with Derek Green at the helm, the band had to rebuild and forge a whole new identity. You still had the core of Kisser on guitar and Paulo Jr. on bass, but the voice and the face of the band had fundamentally changed.
And then, the final link to the band's origins was severed in 2006 when Igor Cavalera also left. So at this point, Sepultura officially had none of its founding members. And yet, they kept going, releasing albums and touring the world for over a decade more. And this brings us to the final chapter of this incredible 40-year journey. A conscious choice to end things, but to do it on their own terms.
In December of 2023, Sepultura announced that they would be embarking on a final, globe-spanning farewell tour to celebrate that 40th anniversary and bring their story to a close.
The band explained the decision wasn't because of any one thing, but really a collection of life-altering events. The pandemic, personal loss, and just hitting that 40-year milestone. It gave them a new perspective and a desire to go out on a high note with what they called a conscious and planned death.
So after 4 decades of groundbreaking music and incredible drama, what really is Sepultura's legacy?
Is it that classic era that changed metal forever? Or is it the resilience of the band that carried on against all odds? Or maybe, is it the entire chaotic, creative, and completely unique 40-year story itself?